Welcome to the Green Street Beat. I'm your host, Laura. On this episode, we are talking about the Lee Summit Municipal Airport. There are many exciting things to come, from renaming the airport, building Hangar 2, and future projects. We have lots to discuss. Let's get to it. I am joined by Airport Manager Joel Arrington and Assistant Airport Manager Thad Dearman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hi.
Now, I want to start with a question that a few citizens may already know about, renaming the airport. Could you talk through why that came about and what benefits it could have for the airport?
Sure, yeah. So the airport renaming actually has been a work in progress over the last probably 5 or 6 years. Whenever we redid the business plan back in actually started in 2018, 2019, and was ultimately approved by City Council in 2020. Part of the business plan, which is the strategic vision for the airport for the next 20 years. And one of the recommendations that came out of that business plan was to rename the airport. We knew as time went on that the role that the airport played was going to change over the next few years. Historically, we've been primarily a single engine, multi-engine piston aircraft. It was referred to as a hobby airport in the past, where Grandma and Grandpa had their airplane and they kept it out of the airport. Today, you will see more corporate aircraft, more corporate businesses using the airport. And so, as the airport continues to grow, renaming the airport is going to just help attract those businesses to the Lee Summit Airport. The current name of the airport is the Lee Summit Municipal Airport. And unfortunately, in the aviation world, the name municipal in the name has a negative preconceived conception of minimal, basic, and the Lee Summit Airport today is anything but that. So the whole renaming which has recently taken place and been approved by City Council and has been sent off to the FAA, the new name is the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport. So having Kansas City will give us more of an anchor of where we are located in the United States, and having regional in the name will help better identify with pilots and people in the aviation community what type of resources and amenities that we have. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, we did not have de-icing capability. We didn't have modern trucks and aircraft moving equipment, and the municipal name fit us just perfectly. Mm-hmm. But today we have all those things, and so we need a name that better reflects the services and amenities that we have.
So how long will it take before the new name takes effect?
Yeah, so the new name has been submitted to the FAA. I have gotten multiple estimates from them on how long it takes. And, I think within the next year, it'll be fully in place. It's not just a matter of changing the name. It's a matter of going through all of the FAA publications and documents and changing it across the board. And so that takes, time. But I really hope within the next year we will have it in place, and then once it's been made official with the FAA and all the publications, that's when the public will start seeing the new name out there in advertisements and media and so forth.
Awesome. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. So let's shift gears and talk about Hangar 2 and what stage the construction is currently in over at the airport.
Sure, yeah. So Hangar 2 is a new, very modern, going to be an absolutely beautiful hangar. Currently, the pad for the site has been poured, and steel just started going up the other day. So I think that we will see completion of that project in probably mid to late summer. Mm-hmm. Maybe the July, August timeframe is kind of what I'm thinking. Of course, it's always weather dependent.
Do you guys know how much space Hangar 2 will be able to hold? How many airplanes could possibly be in Hangar 2?
Yeah, so the hangar itself is that will be for aircraft storage is approximately 32,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. Now, depending on the size of aircraft, mm-hmm. It could hold 2 or 3, or it could hold a dozen, depending on how big they are. But it is being designed to hold the largest of modern day corporate aircraft. So anything up to the biggest Gulfstream with a 28-foot tall door and 120 feet wide will be able to accommodate any modern business jet.
Mm-hmm. So is there going to be, there's been talk of a terminal and then maybe possibly a tower later on. Mm-hmm. Do you have a status on those?
Yeah, so this is really exciting news. Starting in 2021, I believe, the federal government came out with what's called the FAA bill, right? And that's the bilateral infrastructure law. And part of that legislation authorized $5 billion for general aviation airports like ours to either refurbish or construct new terminals. It's a competitive grant process, which means we had to put together an application and send it in along with all the other airports in the country who were interested in building a terminal or refurbishing their terminal. And the first year we struck out, we didn't get it. The second year we applied for a design grant. So this was just a design only. We actually won that grant.
Wow.
So we got a $700,000 design grant. This last year has been the design of it. So we've been working, getting all the plans together. And then we reapplied this last year, which would have been the fourth year, for the construction of that. And believe it or not, we actually won a grant. So we got a $4.7 million grant to put towards the construction of a terminal. So what that means for us, while Hangar 2 is currently being built, there's a real good possibility that this spring the terminal building could also be started, which would put it finishing up at about the same time as Hangar 2. So
exciting.
this is super exciting news. I mean, to have, or to win a competitive grant like this really puts, it really shows not only the airport, but it should show the community as to the direction that Lee Summit's going and how the FAA views the aviation progress in Lee Summit, Missouri.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
for sure.
to win a competitive grant like that is amazing.
That's huge. So with the increased business travel that this would bring, and it's also been discussed with these new airport additions, won't that make more noise? Are you guys taking any steps to reduce the noise currently? Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, with any growing airport or modern airport, there is going to be noise around the community, and we try and be a good neighbor as best we can, and we understand as airport management that in some cases we are going to annoy a few people, and we get it, but we do everything that we can to reduce the noise impact on the residents. Now, as the airport gets busier with turboprops and jets and so forth, it's been my experience over the years that the vast majority of noise complaints actually come from single-engine piston aircraft, training aircraft, for example, not from the corporate aircraft. So I'm actually pretty comfortable with an increase in jet activity. I don't think that's an annoyance to the citizens. I think the annoyance is the airplane that they see going overhead, 10 times a day doing traffic pattern work. These are student pilots learning how to fly. So recently, we've had a town hall meeting. We, of course, listened to the residents, and out of that meeting, I think we got some good ideas that we're currently working on. For example, we're working on revising our Fly Friendly program, and I think there's going to be some good updates in that. They're going to, once again, we can't completely we can't eliminate the noise, and I think these new things that we're putting in place will help keep the traffic closer to the airport and further reduce the noise impact on the residents.
When we have more jet traffic, the training aircraft from other airports will not want to fly with the jet traffic that we will start to experience an increase of. So they'll now find other airports nearby that don't have the jet traffic as like what we'll have. So currently we do have a lot of small piston aircraft because the jet traffic hasn't really arrived like we are predicting it will come with Hangar 2.
So for listeners who aren't sure what a piston aircraft is it the aircraft that has a propeller on the front? Is that kind of what it looks like usually?
Yeah, so it's just kind of a similar engine that's what's in your car. It's just a piston engine turning a prop. Now some turboprops are jet engines turning a prop. So piston aircraft are going to be much slower, and they will be a little louder than even a turboprop. Most turboprops are actually pretty quiet.
Yeah.
It's kind of more wind noise than engine noise.
So, and my next question kind of follows that. So for those who may not be familiar with the airport, can you tell us about the types of aircraft and then also the customers that currently use our facilities?
Yeah, so we service just about all general aviation aircraft from single-engine piston all the way up to the largest Gulfstream or global jet aircraft, which is capable of flying from here to Europe. We see everybody from grandma and grandpa flying in to see the grandkids to people coming in for business or coming in for a Chiefs game. Yeah, so it's just across the board, and they're not only just coming to Lee Summit, and that's one of the draws to Lee Summit, and it actually was one of the things driving the name change is it's not everyone's just doing business here in Lee Summit. They're doing business all across the Kansas City greater metropolitan area. So it's not just Lee Summit. So we're really drawing them in to here.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think they're wanting to land here over for example the downtown airport?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So, with the business travelers, it's all about the shortest distance to their destination. Mm-hmm. While the downtown airport is great if you're going downtown, right, or north of the river, if you're coming south, then Lee Summit is a prime location because we've got great highway access, we've got great road access to all of southern Kansas City, Overland Park. Matter of fact, we've got businesses that base their aircraft here that are based over in Kansas. And we're still the most, convenient, easy, accessible airport in the Kansas City area. Mm-hmm. So it's all about location.
Mm-hmm. Have any A-listers flown here?
Oh, we have. I'll tell you. There's some that I can tell you, and some that I can't tell you.
Yeah.
But no. So we've had like Kenny Chesney. We've had Snoop Dogg fly in. We've had Dirk Bentley. We've had a couple of sports people.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs. Players fly in and out. We've had a couple of Royals players that I wouldn't say consistently flies in and out. He lives by the airport, so when he does fly in, then he uses Lee Summit Airport. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah. We've had college head coaches for football or basketball also fly in.
Mm-hmm.
So
when it's scouting season, we get quite a few coaches fly in.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have the governor.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime he usually comes to anywhere south of Kansas City, then he'll fly into Lee Summit. We see them pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
The Texas Senator Ted Cruz also flew.
Yeah, we've had Ted Cruz in before.
Wow.
Yeah.
All kinds of people.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any additional information you want to tell or update us on and anything with the airport? It's all exciting stuff.
Another big thing coming up is the role that our airport's going to play with the World Cup coming up. We're working on getting a customs office at the airport. So, we've got a long enough runway and we've got the facilities and we've got the equipment to actually handle corporate aircraft that are coming in from overseas.
Wow.
And so rather than having to stop, midway, go through customs, they can just land here, go through customs, and they can actually, if they had enough runway, they could take off and fly to Europe or Mexico or Canada, wherever they're going to be coming from. We don't know yet. But, so we're also working on getting a customs office.
Very neat. Very prepared.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's going to be a big deal for us. We don't know how many aircraft we're going to get. It's going to get busy, we think. And, especially, once we figure out who's coming here, we'll be able to better plan, I think. But we're probably going to see an increase in traffic during the World Cup event. So
I'm sure.
we've been planning, actually, for the last 2 or 3 months already. So just starting to get ready for it. Here recently, within the last 6 months, the airport finally was moved from the next status up in the program, which was the candidacy. And what that basically means is that we have met the minimum threshold for what's called a contract tower in our world. And so what that means is that we can continue through the process of planning for a tower. So doing all the environmental studies, finding a location. We have to do what's called a siting study to where's it going to fit on the airport and to make sure that the controllers can see everything that they need to see. Could I put a time frame on it? I can't right now. It's going to depend on funding because the way this basically works is the city or the FAA, if we were to get a grant, would need to fund the construction of the tower. And so I think the tower construction is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $10 to $12 million. And so once the tower is built, the FAA will fund the overhead of the tower. So they will pay all the salaries and benefits and the hourly rates for the controllers. But it'll basically be a city building. So, is it a ways out? Yes. Are we moving through the process? Yes. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that a tower will have, obviously it'll be the next plateau for the airport. Lengthening the runway was a major stepping stone for us. Purchase of Hangar 1, which is where we're currently at, was a stepping stone. Getting Hangar 2 and a terminal is kind of the next one. Mm-hmm. But boy, the really big one is going to be a tower because we know that there are businesses who aren't using us, who could, for the simple reason that we don't have a control tower. They're not going to bring their CEO into an uncontrolled airport.
So that was going to be my question. So what does a tower bring an airport?
Yeah, so it brings, during certain hours of the day, because it's not open 24 hours, right? It brings total control over the airspace. So right now, it's uncontrolled. So pilots just fly established FAA procedures for entering and exiting the traffic pattern, landing. They're all talking on the radio and so forth. But when you insert a control tower into the situation, that controller has total authority over aircraft coming in and out. And in regards to noise, we can even go as far as to say, hey, you know what? We only want 2 or 3 training aircraft in the pattern at any given time, which is one way we can help reduce noise. Right now, if we get 5 aircraft in the traffic pattern naturally has to expand, get larger, which means there's going to be more people exposed to aircraft noise. And so if we can say, hey, you know what? During 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., for example, we only want X number of training aircraft in the pattern. We can do that because the FAA has the authority to do so.
There's another exciting thing in the works. You talked about what does the tower provide or bring to the table. That's safety, and what is another thing that we're bringing to the airport for safety is a fire station that's going to be dual purpose for the airport and for the community that it's nearby. So recently, the northeast corner of the airport, we just recently purchased some property there. That's where the fire station's going to go in a few years. So we're working with the fire department on what's the FAA regulations for the class of airport that we need to provide for fire safety at the airport.
Awesome.
The tower is going to be, a great addition. Of course, the renaming. Hangar 2 is going to be just the next level facility for us. And when it's all said and done, believe it or not, we are going to have one of the best sledding hills in Lee Summit. And there's also one other thing that actually just got started in the last couple of weeks is the idea of having a park out at the airport. So, the airport has 560 acres. Most people are maybe familiar with where the what's called the North Recycling Center. It's going to be right across the street from the new Discovery Park. And with all the new residents coming in, the role of the airport in the community is changing. And historically, airports have just been for aviation people, right, or getting on and off an airplane, right? You didn't have any reason to go to the airport. But we're actually talking with the Parks Department about putting in potentially a small dog park there and a kids' playground in addition to a observation area for the airport. So we get a lot of parents and grandparents that bring their kids out on the weekends to sit and watch airplanes, and this would be a spectacular spot. And plus, it'll give the airport a better use in the community of just it's not just there for taking off and landing airplanes. It's like there are other uses that we can use this non-aviation ground for. So I'm actually really excited about that. Yeah. So I showed Parks Department some parks that had currently been built, and we looked at one, and it was, of course, aviation themed. So the really tall slide was in the shape of a control tower, and they had airplanes sitting around everywhere, and it had a mock-up of the runway, on the ground. So it's really cool. So that'll be coming. Hopefully we can make this work. And I think with the Discovery Park going in right next door to us, that it's a great location for it.
That's all for this episode of the Green Street Beat. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to Apple or Google Podcasts to hear new episodes as they become available. And share them with your friends. Don't forget to visit the Lee Summit Municipal Airport website at lsairport.net for the latest news and updates. Until next time.